Welcome back to my Mythic Plus series. This is going to be Halls of Infusion. I believe this is a +5. Unfortunately, this will not be as detailed as my other Mythic Pluses because I just don't know the dungeon as well as I know the other ones. So far, I have found Mythic Pluses to be the best in terms of doing gear. I am trying to figure out how to reduce the sound on the ready check. I'm still not 100% sure on how to do that, so I need to look it up. So I do apologize for the ready check being loud in my videos. As always with dungeons, don't stand in stuff. That should be pretty obvious. It's a little bit harder if you're melee because you never know if it's like something that someone casts, a friendly spell, or if it's a enemy spell. Given that it's a +5, I'm not too worried about dying to anything. There are a couple things that can be kind of threatening, but that's mostly on boss fights. I will say it is a lot harder to gear because I've ran a lot of Mythic Pluses to get up to 402 or 401. So it's definitely not very fast to gear this way. But your only other option is to gear this way mixed with upgrades, or you can also do raids. You're unfortunately only able to do one raid a week. You can do looking for raid, normal, heroic, and stuff like that. But you can only do those one time. I already did the looking for raid. I think I got like 2 pieces, but not too good of gear. Like I said, so far I don't really know this dungeon mechanics the best in the world. That's one of the reasons why I've been trying to run it a lot. The best way to learn a mechanic is when you get hit by it. So like in higher keys, you know not to get hit by it. For example, I probably should have silenced that. I did watch a guide on this one, but this has a lot of little stuff in it, so it's a lot harder to kind of remember everything. A lot of the other dungeons just have like this mob type of things. This dungeon kind of had a everywhere there's issues type of things. Even though I don't have flame shock on the targets, I'm still using it because I do get a little damage increase of about 20% on my next earthquake if I do that. Earthquake or whatever I end up deciding to use. Flame shock, earthquake. I could use it on chain lightning. So if it's instant cast, it's definitely worth using it. I feel like my damage ain't too bad. It might be too heavily reliant on procs though, which could become an issue later on. However, I've tried the other builds, like I think it's called Lightning Rod build or something, which is only really doable when you get the 4 set. It doesn't seem to flow as nicely as this one does. Plus, if I'm trying to make videos and all that, having to try to learn a build just doesn't work very well. So I can do more damage with this build than I can with my other one. This kind of seems a little bit more like flexible too. Nice single target, nice AoE.
More trespassers! I will not allow you through!
This boss does start at lower HP, even though it basically just still takes just as long to kill. You do have to run that out. As you can tell, I didn't notice that, but now I do. Little mistakes like that, though, are fine in low keys. They won't wipe you. And that sucks. For this one, you have to kill these on top of the boss, which I do know that. This is more of a tank mechanic. Yeah, it's causing me a lag a little bit. I think 3 out of the 4 have to hit the boss. I haven't even had to cast a spell in forever, because I just keep getting procs. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, that's an example of doing it really badly, because that person just cut me off. I try to make sure I keep healing Stream Telegram to help the healer. That boss isn't too bad, as long as you make sure to run that stuff out, kill the mobs on top of the boss. Makes it pretty easy. I think the batteries in my keyboard just died, which is not good. Oh, there it goes. I'll have to swap those out again. Downside to using a wireless keyboard is your batteries tend to die sometimes. It's also nice to have your heal on the bar, just in case you get low on health. You're better off losing damage than you are dying. Because, like I've always said, and like everybody always says, you can't do damage if you're face down. I do know that these toads put overtime on you, so if you get fixated, it's best not to get them on top of you. It is a poison. I might get hit by one just to show. There we go. It is a poison that instant kills you at 10 stacks. However, if you have someone that can dispel poison, that's pretty nice. I don't have... There is a totem I could have, but I don't have it, unfortunately. Which would probably be pretty nice for this dungeon. Small groups like this are not my strong suit. I can't really use chain lightning. And they die so fast that I really can't build up any damage on them, unfortunately. I kind of wish they would swap the set piece buff, because this is not very... It doesn't seem to proc very often. Or it's not proc. It seems like it takes forever to come on. This is an amazing totem for the frogs, though. We are now headed towards the second boss, which is the frog boss, which basically has a bunch of those little frogs. They are a pain. You pretty much have to kill them, and it's really easy to hit 10 stacks and instantly die. The first time I did not know that you instantly died at 10 stacks, and I got one tapped. Because I think almost every frog got on me. Stun, slow, do whatever you gotta do to deal with the frogs. If anyone was wondering, this is what my build is. This is a build that I have not found online anywhere, so I don't know if it's a bad build later on, but it seems to work pretty well for me.
The winds are always in my favor.
Seems like it's a nice little hybrid build. Good single target, good AoE, but not like extremely good on anything. Which for Mythic Plus is, you really want to have a nice hybrid build because you don't want to be all single target, no AoE, or all AoE and no single target, especially on Tyrannical week. You want to make sure you have some pretty decent single target. The one thing I am really bad about is not interrupting. I still haven't made it to a key with the third afflicts yet, which is basically when you kill something, it makes another ad stronger, which I think is called bolstering, if I remember right. Yeah, adds like 20%. It can be kind of insane because it can make something hit that basically would never do much damage to you and do a ton of damage. I think that can also go for ads, like say you pull those ads onto a boss, I think it can actually affect a boss, where it used to be able to, I think. Best to try to pull them into the boss if possible. Well, no, actually, I think that's wrong. I think it actually does something if you pull them into the boss. It looks like it does a small AoE. Yeah, and I think the boss just ate too many of them. I wish someone would kill this. Yeah, definitely don't be one of those DPS that never kill the ads. I think the tank will be fine because this is a low key. On Tyrannical though, that buff could definitely probably be killer. I wouldn't be surprised if you're not supposed to do that. I feel like that's not supposed to be what goes there. Let me see. Oh, never mind. That is something else. Maybe you were supposed to do it. I don't know. That's something I need to look up a bit better video on. I don't even think this is the increase for me. Nope, exactly a 5. And I think I timed that one way faster, so unfortunately this is not going to be a better key. But I still badly need gear, so I'm fine with this. Well, pretty good. I do know this boss. This boss is fairly easy as long as you pay attention. The gist is basically the boss does an AoE. Just stand behind the ice pillars, and the boss will do an AoE that goes out. The boss also does a ground AoE that you can see. It'll be like dark shading, and it does it kind of like a radius, and then it expands, which I can show once we actually get to the boss. I just realized we had 2 warlocks. We have an all-caster group. This is another one of those times where we haven't used hero, unfortunately. I don't know if there is a downside to staying behind these from the start.
We'll build a new world, free from their corruption. Let me show ya the power of the enemy.
Obviously, dodge the stuff that comes out like that. Whenever Hellstrom comes out, hide directly on top of the rocks. Don't hide like far back because you'll still get one shot. That was a little AoE I was talking about. Then run in. Called Glacier Surge. On a 5 it does a lot of damage, so you know. Oh well. I shouldn't have got hit by that. I will say the little tornado that she shoots out definitely has a bigger radius than what it's supposed to, because I wasn't in it. At least I don't think I was in it when I got hit. This is one of those times where healing yourself is definitely important. We'll be fine.
Nothing can stop us.
I am surprised we have a warlock that they didn't try to res the healer, or maybe they did. Oh, I can't do it where they used rebirth. All they had to do was decline it, and I could have resed them. It's not that big of a deal though. On high keys that could be an issue though, because one rebirth can make a big difference if your healer dies. Some fights, if a healer dies, there's not a ton of AoE pulsing out. But now that I think about the flicks that makes it to where you have to heal up the mob, or you get like 100% haste reduction, kind of makes a healer almost required on almost every fight if it pops up. Half of WoW is just don't stand in stuff too. As a tank, that's a lot harder because you obviously don't want to pull it out. Your DPS is AoE. I know I've had times where someone thinks Earthquake is a enemy AoE, and I basically lose like a ton of my AoE damage. I'm in a pretty nice amount of damage. They need to go ahead and pull that.
Fools! Do you not see what that wretch Tyr has done?
Line of sight can be kind of annoying sometimes, because I don't think I was not in line of sight of that mob, but obviously the game thought I was. This is the last boss, so I will be using my Bloodlust. I actually just noticed that this is the last boss. I do like the fact that these dungeons aren't super long, because there's been times in Mythic Plus history where dungeons were super long and a pain in the butt to do. Because a long dungeon that goes poorly becomes a obnoxiously long dungeon.
The elemental.
I think part of the reason why we're running so close on time, our damage is, I don't think it's as high as it probably should be. I am surprised though, because they definitely outgear me. One thing that's killing my damage is my stats. I badly need more haste. Mastery gear. I'm trying to remember this fight. Our healer must be having issues. This is another issue I've really had, is people randomly AFKing during dungeons. They definitely do better single target than I do though. Whenever you see this healer struggling, don't be afraid to use your stuff. So far it's just been dodging stuff. This is basically going to be the same. You get dropped here. You have to run up, dodge stuff, kill 4 ads, boss will spawn again. I gotta wait for the tank to get back here before I can start pulling these, I think. Hopefully the tank just pulls all of them. Or maybe you don't have to wait for the tank to get here. That works. Now we just pop this mob back up and nuke him the rest of the way down. Yeah, this fight seems pretty easy unless I'm messing something up. Pretty much just don't stand and stuff, don't get hit by warps. Yeah, it's as easy as that. Wonder what we ended up doing. We still got a +2, and we had a decent amount of deaths. So that was a +5 Halls of Infusion. Let's see what loot I get. Gold. It would be nice if they kind of gave you something. I don't think there is, because I had last night, I ran like 15 of these, and I got gold at a 9. That's kind of like an insane amount of times to get gold when there's 2 items per run. And then when I finally got an item, it was another neck. I would rather have just got nothing. The one nice thing is, though, you do get Shadow Crest, so that does work out well. Go ahead and leave that. That's a good example. Also, gear doesn't mean that you're going to know the dungeon, because that one warlock definitely outgears me, but I did almost as much damage as them because I know the dungeon, so I know when I can stop and channel my stuff and stuff like that. I also didn't die and cost time, so just watching a little short video can kind of help you out a ton. It's like 5 minutes, or about 5 to 10 minutes per dungeon. I only had to watch 4 of them because I didn't know. I already knew the other ones from other expansions. Brackenhide Hollow I thought was going to be the hardest. Actually was the easiest because there's the least amount you have to deal with as a DPS. That one's not too bad. Nefarious. Freehold was pretty easy to learn. Vortex Pinnacle was pretty easy to learn. Underrot, if you don't know it already, it actually probably is one of the hardest to learn. Netharian's Lair, pretty easy to learn. Halls of Infusion, pretty easy to learn. At least it seems like it. The trash might actually be a little bit harder. And Oldham wasn't too bad. I don't find very many groups for this, though, for some reason. But anyway, that was my +5 Halls of Infusion run. Until the next Mythic Plus.